The story of modern America began on May 14, 1607, 400 years ago, when 3 ships filled with English explorers landed on the banks of the James River in Virginia. They embarked on a journey to find wealth, but they ended up on a journey that changed the world. 3 great cultures, Indian, African, and English, converged, setting in motion social patterns that continue to shape our lives today. The same values that inspired the Jamestown colonists to explore the unknown also led to the advancement of representative government. In July of 1619, in the church at historic Jamestown, the American tradition of representative government was born. 22 elected representatives, called burgesses, took their seats that hot summer day to discuss and vote on laws and regulations that would govern the new settlement. The House of Burgesses evolved into the Virginia General Assembly, the oldest representative institution in the Americas. The journey that began at Jamestown continued here in Williamsburg, where many of America's founding patriots worked out their ideas of independence and constitutional government. During the last 400 years, the journey of democracy, freedom, liberty, and human rights has continued as Americans have sought to create a more perfect union. And these ideas and ideals have advanced around the world as people have forged their own forms of free government and have given voice to the universality of basic human rights. They've drawn inspiration from the voices of Washington, Lincoln, Susan B. Anthony, Woodrow Wilson, Franklin Roosevelt, and Winston Churchill.
I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat. You ask, what is our aim? I can answer in one word: victory. Victory at all costs.
Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, and many others have been the wind in the sails for the journey that continues to change the world.
And therefore, as a free man, I take pride in the words, Ich bin ein Berliner.
Dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Through 4 centuries, the cause of human freedom has advanced, overcoming lethal threats, determined foes, and complex challenges. But self-government has many faces and methods. There is no one right way, and the journey is often difficult.
Never before has our leadership been so crucial, because while America has its eyes on the future, the world has its eyes on America.
Sometimes it falls upon a generation to be great. You can be that great a generation.
And so today, people of goodwill from around the world are working together to build on this 4-century-old foundation. This World Forum concludes 18 months of commemorative events and university-based conferences at which an array of leaders have reflected on the future of democracy.
There could hardly be a better time to be governor of the Commonwealth than in this time when we commemorate 4 centuries of Virginia and launch into a 5th century and think about all that has come before and, more importantly, all that is to come.
The central issue for American foreign policy, almost since the outset, was should our foreign policy encourage this system of government, these values, or should it not?
I'm old enough to remember John F. Kennedy. He made a very wise statement, at least to me. He said this: we must face the fact that the United States is neither omnipotent nor omniscient.
We now see the results 400 years later of this very tenuous early link, which is now the great bond between both the United Kingdom and the United States.
Because the 400th anniversary of Jamestown and the idea that voices would be lifted from within the veil really speaks to the notion of, for the first time when we have this celebration, that we have the full spectrum of America represented in a celebration of Jamestown.
50 years following the Revolution, I think, certainly rival the last 50 years in our history in terms of cultural, economic, social changes that took place. Extraordinary explosion of entrepreneurial energy in the 50 years following the Declaration of Independence.
That people are interested. They are interested in wanting to bring about change. They are interested in wanting to be involved. I say to young people, let nobody ever tell you what you can't do.
No nation can do any of this alone. And there's always strength in numbers, but the real strength, I think, is in common purpose.
And I believe there's no more urgent challenge for our national security and for the future of all the young people throughout the world than our task of reaching out across the world to foster a sense of common interests and values and to confront common threats together.
My parents taught me early on that this nation was founded in these perfect ideals, but a savagely imperfect reality. And that the history of this nation is ordinary people doing extraordinary things to make real on this promise of democracy.
To get people to look at the past, to look at the lessons of the past as both an inspiration and a guide to our present day world.
And when the founders wrote the Constitution, they wrote a document that I think I and my colleagues would describe as fundamentally creating democratic political institutions. That's what the Constitution is about.
More significantly, we now have to scrutinize executive action to ensure that it does not infringe human rights. We can no longer hold that actions taken in the interests of national security by the executive are not justiciable if those actions are alleged to infringe individual human rights.
The English Inns of Court also played a crucial role in the introduction of England's tradition of liberty to the New World. The original Virginia Charter expressly preserved for the colonist the familiar, quote, liberty